interest of time, I stand on existing protocols and the media fraternity, Gala members here present. Before I delve into the statement proper, I will just re-echo the statement of the Honorable Minister of Information to emphasize that this is not us versus them. It's a collective responsibility. The action that has been taken by Gala is in the furtherance of public service delivery and to enhance accountability. And your inquiries, your queries have been adequately attended to. That's why you have almost half of cabinet here. And this is just a representation, but there was a lot of work that went into responding appropriately to the queries raised. I will indulge your patience because the questions deserve commensurate response, and the statement will be a bit prolongated, but that's just for the interest of time to emphasize the amount of work that went into this. And the statement is as follows. The government of the Gambia's reaction to the petition from the Gambia against looted assets relating to corruption cases, transparency and accountability in public financial management and governance reforms. We thank you for your presence and your continued interest in the country's progress towards transparency, accountability and sound economic management. This press conference is organized on the heels of the peaceful protests staged by Gambians against looted assets on the 23rd of July 2025. And the government received a petition in good faith, and as a responsible and responsive government, we are alive to the call made by the citizen seeking to safeguard our shared resources, thereby call for public accountability and institutional integrity in the management of public resources. The Gala movement raised 3 issues to the government, and these are: 1, implementation of the parliamentary inquiry report, recommendations on the importation and sale of petroleum products valued at $30 million. 2, general update on the progress of audit cases involving corruption and fraud. 3, the implementation of the acute kidney failure panel investigation report. General remarks. Since 2017, this administration of His Excellency Adama Barrow has pursued comprehensive governance reforms across the political, legal, and economic sectors, which have been designed to consolidate democracy, fight corruption, and modernize the management of public resources. The results are visible. Our Corruption Perception Index, as published by Transparency International, score has improved from a score of 30 out of 100 in 2017, at which point our ranking was 130 globally, to a score of 38 out of 100 in 2024, the latest, with a global ranking of 96, meaning we've moved like 34 points, countries, out of 180. This significant improvement is supported by new legislation such as Anti-Corruption Act and the Access to Information Act. The government has also pursued the introduction of a new constitution and has empowered our accountability and governance institutions, which ensures the realization of the clamor for justice and accountability in our public spaces. And also, the World Bank does conduct annual, what they call country portfolio and institutional assessment report. The report was just released July, and we have ranked 3.2. We have 3 above the sub-Saharan African average, and this is the highest rating the country has ever realized since the ranking has started. This is not just a number, but it will go on to even increase the resource envelope the government will have from not just the World Bank, but other multilateral partners like the ADB. These are there. And also another scorecard is the MCC, Millennium Challenge Corporation, which has ranked Gambia, and our ranking, I think we are number 5 in Africa. These are just scope 1, but this can all be researched on the internet. and verified from the public sources. The fellow Gambians, allow me to highlight some of the key reform agenda introduced by this administration in the public finance management. A new public finance management bill is being developed to replace the existing one to modernize budgeting, expenditure control, debt management, and fiscal reporting. The first cut of this bill has gone through Cabinet, and comments are now being incorporated for it to be reintroduced to Cabinet for more transmission to the National Assembly. Also, we have enacted a new State-Owned Enterprise Act in 2023 to oversee the parastatals and improve the corporate governance. The SOE Commission will also support the planned efforts to strengthen budgetary processes and supervision of the SOEs. I think we have some early wins on these commission's output. The combined losses of some of these state-owned enterprises as of 2024 was about $2 billion in losses. As of June, the combined loss has been reduced by 50%, and is now $1 billion, and we are on progress to transform these SOEs. I'm sure you are aware of the sanctions being imposed on some of the agencies. Some of them means pay cuts. For some, it requires travel ban for their chief executives. And these are all reforms that are undergoing. Efforts to improve integrity and transparency of the public procurement recruitment systems have been undertaken. A new Public Procurement Act, GPPA, has been adopted and supported by a rollout of an e-procurement platform shortly to reduce corruption risks, shorten procurement cycles, and enhance competition. The Gambia Revenue Authority is also making continued efforts to strengthen the internal processes. The GRA established an internal affairs unit and has developed the mandates, standards, operating procedures, and other policy documents to support operations. The GRA continues its digitalization effort by full automation of its processes in customs using the ASCUDA wall, and efforts are underway to fully digitize the current domestic tax administration called GANTaxNet into an integrated tax management system. I think on this one we all see the quantum leap our revenue performance have gone through recently. And just these are numbers that can be compared easily. We have seen GRA perform phenomenally thanks to digitalization. For the first 7 months of the year, GRA has clocked 15 billion. And this can be contrasted with the total revenue collected by GRA in 2022, just 3 years ago, when the total revenue collected was 11 billion. So in a nutshell, what GRA has collected in 7 months in 2025 exceeds the total annual collection of 2022, which was 11 million. The amendments to the Central Bank Act of Bank Governance and Independence, which establishes a stronger foundation to further enhance the central bank governance and operation. A new banking bill has been drafted to modernize supervision, strengthen prudential standards, and improve risk management in the financial sector. To strengthen anti-corruption framework, its authorities have enacted a new Anti-Corruption Act, and the appointment of the commissioners of this commission is in progress. These reforms have not only strengthened the Gambia's public financial management framework, but have also translated into tangible benefits for citizens. Improved fiscal discipline, more efficient expenditure control, and stronger revenue administration have led to marked increase in government revenues at the GRA. Revenues increased from 7.79 billion only in 2017 to 20.85 in 2024. I also given the latest statistics of 2025, registering an annualized growth of 15.2% over the revenue collection period, or an increase of more than 162%. These funds have been channeled into visible projects such as upgraded roads, expanded energy access, modernized public facilities, and directly enhanced economic activities and the quality of life. The direct beneficiaries of some of these efficiency gains are even in the civil servants' compensation. The regime has increased the compensation to the civil servants by more than 110% since 2017. and in the last 3 years by more than 60%. Today, nobody in the civil service is receiving anything below $6,000 per annum as a minimum. We have done 2 salary increases in the last 3 years. In 2022, we increased 30% across the board. In the last 2025, we increased the salaries by a wage bill increase of 30%, but some of the grades, this was cascaded. The lower grades have increases of more than even 70%. These are where these efficiency gains are channeled to. The digitization of the custom and tax administration, coupled with the rollout of the e-procurement platform, has streamlined the service delivery, reduced processing times, and improved public access to services. These technological upgrades, alongside a stronger anti-corruption framework, have increased the detection of fraud and financial misconduct, ensuring that public funds are used as intended. The combination of greater transparency, enhanced accountability, and more efficient systems have built public trust while enabling the state to deliver economic development more effectively. It is paramount to highlight that in addition to the public financial management agenda, this administration has also established a series of commissions of inquiry, including the Janet Commission, the Local Government Inquiry Commission, and the Parliamentary Inquiry on Looted Assets. Furthermore, the government has intensified its fight against drugs, leading to a wave of arrests and prosecution, among other notable measures. The public is hereby assured of the Commission's finding that the Commission findings will be implemented to the letter. That the wheel of justice may be slow, but surely will roll out. The administration of justice by its nature comes with challenges. It is said that justice delayed is justice denied, but due care must be made to ensure innocent citizens' rights are not infringed in the process. Addressing the parliamentary inquiry on the importation and sale of the petroleum products worth $30 million, the government has submitted its response to the Parliament, while noting the inquiry's conclusion that substantive allegations of bribery, money laundering, and tax evasion on the sale of petroleum products worth 36 million tons, valued at $30 million, could not be established. This was the conclusion of the inquiry. The key 4 primary bases of the inquiry, it was established, were not found. The government acknowledged the additional comment that the parliamentary inquiry produced. Revelations relating to serious governance. These are like issues of governance and administrative issues were highlighted as additional output of the inquiry. The government acknowledged this inquiry's revelation related to serious governance and regulatory failures, pervasive non-compliance and financial, tax and corporate laws, and troubling disregard to due process by both public institutions and private entities involved in this transaction. As a result, the government informs the National Assembly of its commitment to upholding good governance, enhance systems of internal control, institutional strengthening, and its strong will to enforce the laws and regulations in the management of public resources. To that end, the government welcomed the work of the Parliamentary Committee and has taken note of its recommended reforms, stricter regulatory frameworks, and urgency to enhance interagency coordination to prevent the recurrence of such anomalies. As such, the government is committed to take decisive actions towards addressing identified anomalies as identified in the report. Bearing in mind that the inquiry started with the report of suspicious transaction report flagged by the Financial Intelligence Unit, which was followed through by the FIU investigation investigating anti-money laundering and financial crimes related to the transaction. The FIU investigation then was shared with the police and the central bank for further investigation. Both the police and the central bank conducted investigations and reached inconclusive findings to the effect that the fundamental question in respect of source identification of funds came from oil proceeds. Notwithstanding, the transaction itself was clouded with suspicion given the relationship between the entities involved, for which a closer scrutiny would have discovered some regulatory breaches. To that effect, the government is implementing recommendations made in the report such as follows: that the Minister of Petroleum and Energy has restored the sole regulatory authority for overland petroleum imports to PURA since the 4th of July 2024, restoring regulatory coherence and institutional integrity. This corrective action reflects the commitment of both the Ministry of Petroleum and PURA in upholding regulatory best practice. PURA is actively reviewing the enforcement regulation to bring them in line with international best practice. The authority aims to finalize and adopt revised enforcement regulations alongside updated petroleum licensing guidelines by December 2025. The central bank has sanctioned 2 commercial banks following the inspection prompted by the FIU intelligence report and is conducting a special audit of foreign currency transactions and sub-accounts managed by third parties to ensure that no such arrangement exists in the banking sector for the perpetration of illicit transactions. The GRA has issued best of judgment assessment to the 2 non-compliant petroleum companies, that is Creed Energy and Ultimate Beige Limited, in the sums of $8,576,716 and $12,296,923 respectively, and instituted a recovery process to ensure that they comply with the tax obligation. Recognizing the critical importance of a nationally accredited petroleum laboratory in safeguarding the product quality, environmental safety, and consumer protection, the government of the Gambia has entered into an agreement with SICPA for the construction and equipping of a state-of-the-art petroleum testing laboratory under the auspices of the Gambia Standards Bureau. These initiatives represent a major step towards addressing petroleum quality assurance and aligns with broader national efforts to strengthen the petroleum sector infrastructure. Furthermore, the government also accepted the recommendation for further investigations and referred these to the relevant authorities for follow-up actions. This includes an independent criminal investigation should be conducted by the police into the conflict of interest and breach of fiduciary duties by the General Manager of Gam Petroleum. PURA Gambia Competition Commission should also conduct an audit exercise as regards the fairness in allocation of ullage between January to December 2023 by Gam Petroleum and the report of the National Assembly within 60 days. It is important to note that by the time Apoji came into the country, OMCs were not coming to Gam Petroleum for a protracted period, approximately more than 2 months, mainly because the traditional traders, Goza, Trafigura, and others have stopped bringing products to the Gambia since the missing stock saga of October 2021. The new management started negotiating with Trafigura since the assumption of duties by the new MD, that is Trafigura, and Trafigura resumed operations after being convinced of the positive changes in the depot and then signing a storage agreement with Gam Petroleum around the 4th of May 2023, and they applied for haulage of 5,000 metric tons ago and 5,000 metric ton PMS with an ETA expected time of arrival of mid-May, which was extended towards the end of May. By that time, Apoji had also come and they were allocated haulage. For this space to have been there, logically, proof that there was little activity in the depot. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice should constitute a panel to further investigate the conduct of concerned officers in the investigation into the report of the Financial Intelligence Unit and report to the National Assembly within 90 days of tabling this report. The committee recommends that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice constitute a special independent panel to investigate the procedure adopted by the police in investigating the STR against Mr. Orimos and the report to the National Assembly within 90 days of tabling this report. That the Attorney General initiate criminal investigation into Mr. Orimos and related parties for potential money laundering and financial crimes. In addition to these measures, the government is also addressing several ongoing cases of suspected fraud across the public institutions. And what we will do here is to just identify the case and synopsis of what the cases entail. There are about 8 of them. Case 1, that is the state versus Balakande, Omar Sise, and Mongolani Jake. The details of this case is the case involves senior government officials, a former permanent secretary of Ministry of Health and a former program manager, National Malaria Control Program. They are charged with the offense of official corruption, economic crime, and other fraud-related charges. The prosecution has closed its case and it's now at the defense stage. Case number 2, that is the state versus Amisar and 5 others. This case involves staff of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. They are charged with the offense of corruption and other fraud-related charges. The state has closed its case and it is now for the defense to start. State versus Usman Bahum and 4 others. This involves the staff of the Immigration Department. Accused persons are charged with offense of official corruption and other state-related charges. The state has called all its witnesses and the case is now at the defense stage. Case number 4, State versus Abasanya and Pramodu Group. This case involved former governor of the Central River Region and an accountant. They are charged with the offense of economic crime and other fraud-related charges. Prosecution is ongoing. Case 5, State versus Usra Chairman, 2 others. This case involves staff of the Ministry of Justice, Registrar General Department. The accused are charged to court for the offense of economic crime and other fraud-related charges. Prosecution is ongoing. Case number 6, State versus Jacqueline Kanti and others. The first accused is a staff of the Gambia Ports Authority and connived with bank officials. They are charged with forgery and other related offenses. The case is ongoing at the prosecution stage. 8, State versus Ibrahim Janko Koli and others. This case involves magistrate and 2 staff of the judiciary of the Gambia. They are charged with the offense of fraud and breach of trust and other offenses as well. The case is progressing before the court. Case number 8, State versus Bubakar S.M. Jobate. The case is against the former Director of Protocol of Foreign Affairs. He's being charged with fraud related to offenses in connection to diplomatic passport scam. Prosecution has been concluded, now awaiting judgment. Case number, I said 8, but actually the total number of cases is 13. I are on the number of cases at the beginning. Number 9, State versus Mansa Sumare and Ibrahim Assani. This case involves a protocol officer at the Office of Foreign Affairs and a driver at the State House. They are standing trial on fraud-related charges concerning diplomatic passports scam. The case has been concluded and now awaiting judgment. State versus Lamin Banda. The case is a police commissioner. He is charged with the offense of theft. The case is still ongoing before the court. 11, State versus Children Ocham and Babu Seka. The accused staff persons are NAWEC officials. They are being charged with the offense of official corruption. The case is progressing before the courts. 12, State versus Usman Jammeh. Usman Jammeh of GNPC, a pump attendant who was on duty in Brusuri petrol station in December 2022. In the middle of the night, he allegedly absconded with 1,162,607, which was the total sales for the day. Mr. Jammeh appeared in court recently and was charged with theft under Section 233 of the Criminal Offence Act 2025. Case 13, State versus Ibrahim Akrubali, GNPC Bansan Station. Ibrahim Akrubali was the supervisor and was suspected of stealing through official shortages in the plants. He was suspended and the case is still pending internally. They are still waiting for legal advice on the next steps. Additionally, these are all in public discourse to put in the public media of the action taken by the government in addressing matters of corruption and financial malpractice. Additionally, with respect to the alleged fraud cases at the GPA rating unit between the periods of January 1, 2019 to 31st of December 2021, involving 9 staff members of the authority, alongside possible accomplices, including consignors and clearing agents. The police initially submitted a report to the Ministry of Justice for legal guidance. The ministry subsequently returned the file to the police, requesting further inquiry into specific matters requiring greater clarity. Following this directive, the police have since concluded their investigation in full and resubmitted a final report to the Ministry of Justice for legal opinion. It is worth underscoring that the entire process was first set in motion by a whistleblower within GPA, prompting the authority to undertake its own preliminary review before ultimately referring the case to the police for a comprehensive investigation. Meanwhile, the board has sanctioned that the GPA staff adversely mentioned in the police report are placed on administrative leave pending further actions. The suspects that were investigated by the police include Rakiba, Binta Salah, Kumbasa, Sohna Bojang, and Yan Dembele. Moreover, with respect to the alleged fraud case at the GPPC, in the light of the allegation raised by the board chair regarding the suspected fraudulent procurement practices attributed to the managing director, the SOE Commission acted swiftly by placing the managing director on administrative leave and mandating the National Audit Office to conduct a thorough conclusive investigation into the matter. The National Audit Office inquiry is presently underway, and the government will determine the course of action regarding the managing director's tenure upon receipt of the final investigation. And another matter that's not captured in the report proper is the investigation at the Social Development Fund. The audit report has been sent on relief, and the Ministry of Finance is taking the necessary remedial action. Disciplinary investigation conducted by the PSC and the PMO. Section 28 of the PSC regulations mandate the Public Service Commission as the sole responsible authority in all matters concerning the disciplinary act control of the public service, except for public officers whose disciplinary control have been delegated. 194,000 euros. Upon return of the delegation, Mr. Jao submitted a report to the Ministry of Youth and Sports stating that the entire interest amount had been retired. He claimed that the remaining funds were used for transit hotel food and beverages. However, the players later informed the Ministry of Youth and Sport that they did not receive any refreshments during the 6 to 7 hours transit at the airport in Morocco. When the Permanent Secretary requested an explanation and a detailed expenditure report with supporting document from Mr. Jao, he claimed to have duly retired the funds to the AFCOM subcommittee, but the committee chairman confirmed that there was an outstanding amount of 12,500 euros, equivalent to 937,500. Against this background, the PSC conducted an investigation into the matter. The conclusion of the investigation revealed that Mr. Jao has accepted and took responsibility for the missing funds amounting to the 937,500 or equivalent of 12,500 euros. In the light of his admission of guilt, the PSC demoted Mr. Jao while requiring him to refund the unretired interest of 937,500. Mr. Jao has since completed that payment, and the Commission is awaiting the confirmation.
Honorable Ministers, Senior Government Officers, Media, and who else from the government? Yeah, already acknowledged our presence there. Allow me to paraphrase or contextualize the Minister's speech. We made reference to 2017. For us to measure our progress, it's important to look behind to know what we are. And then it's part of human nature not to appreciate our successes. We are always inclined to make noise around the negativeness. It's part of human nature. But as people of faith, we take wisdom from the Quranic word, which says, Surah Al-Ma'arij, Inna linsana khuluqin haluwan.